As you can probably imagine, we're rather interested in fruity stuff here at the Banana. And we especially enjoy a dapper tangerine or a frilly bonneted raspberry. Fruits are our thing. So we've put together a fancy collection of fancy fruit to show you lucky people just how fascinating this subject can be beyond the regular old apples and pears that we're all used to eating. From fruit shaped like perfectly peachy posteriors to a dangerous warty snack that could paralyze you, here are 20 most amazing and rare fruits in the world. Number 20. Buddha-shaped pears. Now, if you can imagine it, then someone, somewhere can, and probably will make it. Like these improbable fruits. This is not a simile, but these pears are not only approximations of Buddha-bellied forms, no, these are Buddha pears. That's right, there's a company that's decided to make molds that will force growing fruits to become formed to whatever shaped plastic cover in which they're imprisoned. The fruit mold company is based in China, and they're out to make all your fruit a lot more fun. And who can argue with that? These molds are most effective at forming pears into peaceful-faced Buddhas with round bellies and folded arms, and they look pretty good, to be honest. Cucumbers are too suggestive for your sensibilities? Well, you can now fashion them into tasteful star shapes and save everyone's blushes. Bored of round old watermelons? Well, how about making them heart-shaped? Feeling a little cheeky? Well, now you can make peaches shaped like perfect human bottoms. Oh, the fun just never ends. Before we go on, like this video, smash the subscribe button, and click the notification bell right now, or this centipede will crawl on your face when you're sleeping. Number 19. Black Diamond Apple. Now for an apple that would likely get approval by many goths in the world, if they happen to be into expensive fruit, that is. The unusual coloring of the black diamond apple is the result of where it grows in the world. These apples are a rare variety of the Huanyu family of apples, which grow exclusively in the mountain city of Ningxi in Tibet. Their deep, dark kind of purple black color is created by the excessive ultraviolet light that is a feature of the region. It's also affected by the dramatic temperature changes between day and night in the Tibetan mountains. These things make the skin develop a very dark outer skin, but the fruit inside is bright and white. Although it does look as though these apples might actually be evil, they're really considered to be amongst the most desirable of fruits out there in the world, but their desirability is actually only on the account of their unusual appearance. These apples, well, they're basically useless for nutrition reasons, which is weird when you consider all the good stuff that a regular boring green or old red apple offers in terms of fiber and flavonoids. So even though they taste a bit less sweet than most apples and are also nutritionally inferior, these fruits are odd looking enough that they cost anywhere between $7 and $20 each. Utterly absurd, really. What do you think? Is this novelty apple worth paying so much extra for? Number 18. Durian. The spiky rinded durian is a fruit that's hugely popular in Indonesia, Malaysia, the Philippines, and Thailand, but it's almost completely unheard of elsewhere in the world. And there may be a few good reasons for this. The durian fruit may come from several tree species, but there's only one kind that's even available on the international market, and that's the kind that only grows in Borneo and Sumatra. So with such limited supply, it's no wonder that this is not up there with apples and bananas for popularity across the globe. There is another issue though. The fruit inside of these spiny outer layers is known to have a way of dividing opinions. To some, it smells sweet and delicious, but to a whole lot of other people, it totally stinks. The flesh of the durian has been described as smelling like rotten onions or turpentine and even raw sewage. Ew! And that is known to linger for days. So much so that many hotels and public transport systems in the countries where it's consumed have actually banned the fruit. You see, it splits opinions, right? For some people, they're more than happy to put the stuff in their mouths, and for others, the mere whiff of it on the bus and vomiting will swiftly follow. So that sounds nice. Have you ever tried this fruit, and how was it for you? Let me know all about it down below. Number 17. Jackfruit. These days, there's such a massive trend for plant-based eating that it seems that if you can stick a label on something and call it vegan, then you can also stick a label alongside that with a massively bloated price attached. Jackfruit may be one such food in that category. No doubt that if you've been anywhere in the so-called Western world in recent years or witnessed any kind of incessantly cheerful YouTube vegan cooks, then you've likely already encountered the jackfruit. Again, it is kind of divisive. The fruit is used as a meat substitute. Now, I know that's completely bizarre. Fruit is not generally comparable with meat in any way, shape, or form, but perhaps all the clambering to reproduce meat-like mouthfeels has addled the brains of some people and they're no longer thinking straight. Anyways, there are a few inflicted individuals for whom this stringy, flavorless fruit is somehow an acceptable substitute for pulled pork, and in that instance, there are pre-prepared and packaged versions of the stuff that are available at a premium price point in fancy food stores. But for those of you who are not hell-bent on pretending that there's no difference between fruit and meat, then try an apple as an apple or a bacon sandwich as a bacon sandwich. Go on then, lambast the heck out of me in the comments down below. It'll make you feel better, I'm sure. I know you want to, but seriously, there are loads of okay meat substitute food products, and they're generally all better than this jackfruit nonsense. Number 16. Kiwano. Although it does look like a hedgehog, this is entirely plant-based. Although the kiwano does seem to be having a bit of an identity crisis. This fruit is also known as the African horned cucumber, the horned melon, the spiked melon, the jelly melon, and the Cucusaurus. So what exactly is it then? Well, that's the thing. This fruit is a bit of a combination. People have compared the taste of the fruit to a combo of banana and passion fruit, but then others say that it's kind of like a cucumber and a zucchini, while still some others say banana, cucumber, and lime. Now, if you've ever tried it, what do you really think that it tastes like? Let me know in the comments below, because I'm really interested. These fruits do grow all across southern Africa and can be found in Namibia, Botswana, Zambia, South Africa, Angola, Mozambique, and Zimbabwe. It's traditionally been eaten in all of those places and provides not only food, but is also a valuable source of water during the dry season in the Kalahari Desert. The fruit inside the prickly outer shell of the kiwano is lime green and jelly-like with seeds, and when it's overripe, the fruit can no longer contain itself and will simply burst open in order to release its seed all over the place. Number 15. Cherimoya. How are you doing with all of these amazing fruits? I hope you can handle the excitement and you're not overwhelmed with all this fruit-based fun. I wouldn't want you to strain anything. So this is the cherimoya. It's a fruit that has a few different spellings and pronunciations, but remains the same inside no matter what. These things are a species of edible fruit that's believed to be native to Central America. In particular, the cherimoya plant grows at very high altitudes in Ecuador and Peru. Also known as the custard apple, it has a particularly creamy texture, although the skin of the fruit has an unfortunately warty texture, and nobody is especially excited by warts now, are they? But though it seems to be a defining feature of these unusual fruits, they seem to be kind of wonky or unpleasant on the outside, but then when you're brave enough to crack one open, the rewards are quite surprisingly delicious. There's a grading system for these fruits, which is based on just how knobbly and warty looking that they appear, and this system is used to commercially classify the fruit for sale. The grades do go from basically smooth, all the way through having fingerprint-like dents, to nipple-like protrusions all the way to extra warty tips. Now, rather bizarrely for a fruit, there is an issue with the seeds of the cherimoya. If they're crushed open, they're actually poisonous. The whole plant contains some super fun toxins, albeit in a small amount. The bark even contains a neurotoxin that can induce paralysis in humans if it's injected. So all that seems very sensible and safe to eat now, doesn't it? I'm not sure I fancy trying that one though. How about you? Do you mind a side of paralysis with your fruit salad? Number 14. Dragon fruit. While it is disappointing that this fruit doesn't breathe fire or even have wings, it is one of the more unusual fruits in the world and therefore deserves a little bit of a closer look. The first thing that you'll likely notice about this extraordinary fruit is its amazing color, that fuchsia skin, and then inside the white fruit speckled with black seeds seems as though it sprung from the pages of a storybook or been invented by an artist's paintbrush. But this is a real-life and genuine fruit. The dragon fruit plant is native to southern Mexico and Central America, but nowadays it can be found growing all over the world. The dragon fruit itself has many names and is variously known as pitahaya, and the strawberry pear. The last name is perhaps a suggestion of the flavor of this amazing fruit, although like always, nobody can quite agree on what it actually tastes like. Some have likened the dragon fruit to a cross between a kiwi and a pear, but then there are some that are much more sour, others are extra sweet, and so on and so on. The best thing is to probably just try it for yourself. There are a few varieties. The bright pink one with the green scales is the most snazzy, but there's also some with red skin and red fruit inside, and a third variety which is yellow with white flesh. So go ahead and try it, would you? Then let us know what you think it tastes like in the comments down below. Number 13. Tamarillo. The tamarillo is also known as the tree tomato, and is easy to see why. These fruits bear more than a passing resemblance to that perennially popular salad choice. These tree tomatoes are native to the Andes of Ecuador, Peru, Chile, Argentina, Colombia, and Bolivia, and they've also been cultivated in many other parts of the world, being a popular food in New Zealand in particular. The egg-shaped fruits vary in color from yellow and orange all the way up to red and nearly purple. They're firm-fleshed and generally contain a bunch more seeds than conventional tomatoes. But if you're a fan of salsa or preserves like jams and jellies, these tamarillos are pretty great additions to those things. Apparently New Zealanders are so nuts about these things that they often just scoop out the middles and spread them onto toast. Well, it takes all sorts, I suppose. But what do you think? Are you totally amazed by this fruit? Do you even give a hoot about a long tomato? Let's discuss the validity of these claims to incredibleness in the comments down below, because I know that you'll have some opinions on such matters. Number 12. Korean melon. Here we are with yet another thriller of a fruit. I hope you can actually contain yourselves over this one, but it's a melon. I know, I could barely believe it myself. Also known as the Oriental melon, the Korean melon is a fruit which is lugging around a whole load of cultural history. It can trace its roots back to eastern India, finding its way to China by way of the Silk Road, and then into Korea and Japan after that.
So here's the inside, if you forgot what that looks like. Here's the red one.
So, you know, it is a melon. It's kind of melon-shaped. It has yellow skin with white stripes that run the length of the fruit and white flesh inside. People tend to find this variety of melon to be less sweet than its western counterparts, and they liken the flavor to something between a honeydew melon and a cucumber. Melons are extremely culturally significant in South Korea. Loads of art and objects have been created using the melon as an inspiration, and there's even an annual melon festival and an Oriental melon ecology center to educate the public on the care and cultivation of the fruit. South Korea does take its melons very seriously, but how do you feel about these fruits? Do you even enjoy a nice melon yourself? Number 11. Passion fruit. The passion fruit is a kind of vine species of the passion flower, which is native to northern Argentina, Paraguay, and southern Brazil. This fruit is widely available across the globe as it's cultivated commercially to be eaten and turned into tangy juice. The stuff is what makes a porn star martini so fruity, if you like that sort of thing. Passion fruit are super healthy and stuffed full of vitamins and antioxidants, and they have a tough outer rind and a seed-filled juicy center. There are two types of passion fruit, a purple skin variety and a yellow kind, which is generally larger. Plenty of people do love to espouse the health benefits of passion fruit, and it's believed that this fruit may be able to help reduce inflammation. But this is also a fruit to which some people can be allergic. Oh, and it has a fun, edgy side as well. The purple passion fruit skin, well, that contains chemicals called cyanogenic glycosides, and these are potentially able to combine with enzymes in order to create cyanide. But that skin is gross and hard, and you won't be eating it anyway, so please, stop freaking out. Number 10. Feijoa. Even though it's also known as the pineapple guava, the Brazilian guava, the fig guava, and the guavastine, the feijoa is not actually a proper guava. Go figure. This fruit is native to southern Brazil, Colombia, northern Argentina, eastern Paraguay, and Uruguay, and these fruits are harvested in the autumn when they have grown to about the same size as a regular kind of egg, and they're green on the outside. Inside, though, the flesh is juicy and has a couple of different textures. There's a jelly-like clear flesh and firmer, slightly grainy textured flesh nearer to the skin. People have likened the flavor to pineapple, apple, and mint, and it's generally enjoyed for its sweet and aromatic taste. These fruits are related to guavas and have a similar sort of texture, but it has traditional uses in cosmetic products, and as they also have a powerful scent, this fruit can be found used in perfumed things as well. The fruit is most commonly eaten by scooping out the soft flesh from the inside, the skin, or by using it in sorbets, pies, and sometimes even salads. And if people don't scoff the lot, the birds are rather partial to a nibble here and there as well. Number 9. Physalis. The golden berries of the physalis fruit are also known as Cape gooseberries, golden berries, or ground cherries, as well as various local names across the regions where it grows. For example, in Egypt they're known as harankash, and in Hawaii they are called poa. Since these fruits are closely related to tomatillos, they do bear some resemblance to these things, but they're also part of the same family as potatoes, eggplants, and regular old tomatoes. That is the nightshade family, which is most famous for having some image problems on account of its poisoning habits. That all being said, if you do eat a physalis, you'll probably be just fine, as long as it's properly ripe, that is. Otherwise, it can actually be poisonous. So that's jolly good fun then. There's also a slight issue that even though they may be ripe, a large quantity of these golden berries can be harmful to humans, possibly even causing damage to the heart. But there have been no long-term studies to show effects over time, and it sounds like you just take your life into your own hands with these kind of things. So you have to ask yourself, is it even worth it? Have you eaten these fruits, and did you live to tell the tale? Number 8. Loquat. Another fruit, another 10,000 different pseudonyms. These things have more names than a gathering of the whole Kardashian clan. Known in various places as the Japanese plum, the Chinese plum, the pipa, and the nasal, the nespero, the nespera, and the nespolo, these loquats are grown in many regions in the world, all the way from China to Portugal. Originally from China, the loquat plant has been cultivated in that country for over 1,000 years. It has since been naturalized across the more warmer areas of the United States, throughout Asia, and the Middle East, and it's an unusual fruit.
It's the same family as Asampaya.
As the tree's flowers appear in the autumn or even the early part of the winter, and then the fruits will ripen from early spring onwards. These fruits are either round or oval, or kind of pear-shaped, and they measure between 1 and 2 inches long. They have yellow, orange, or reddish skin and white and yellow and orange flesh inside. Flavors are going to vary depending on the variety, but all are high in sugar, acid, and pectin, so the loquat makes good jams and jellies. Although I don't know whether it will go with peanut butter on your sandwich. Number 7. Sour plum. The sour plum was first found growing wild in southern China along the banks of the Yangtze River. They've got a long and important history in Chinese culture, with the blossoms arriving in the late winter to herald the beginning of spring. They hold an important place in the art and stories of China. The sour plum is also significant in Japan, being both important in Japanese garden design as well as the kitchen. Eating pickled sour plums is still very much a specifically Japanese taste, which has traditionally been believed to ward off evil, although they're mostly enjoyed for their flavor rather than any sort of mystical powers. Sour plums are actually used all across East Asia in many different cuisines, and they're included in drinks where a lot of sugar is usually added to counteract that sourness. They also make frequent appearances in sauces along with stuff like chili, ginger, garlic, vinegar, sugar, and salt. Then there are the pickles and preserves that are made with sour plums. These plums are only really available for about 1 month out of every year, so the use of preserving techniques is the only way to enjoy that tangy, lip-puckering, nose-wrinkling fun all year round. Number 6. Longan. The name Longan comes from a Cantonese word that means dragon eye, which is way cooler sounding than the fruit actually looks. The idea here is that the fruit kind of resembles an eyeball when the shell's removed. It's got a translucent sort of flesh, which the black seed can be seen through, making it appear a little bit like the iris or pupil of an eye. I guess if you squint at it, that could be what you see. Anyways, the longan is in the same family as the lychee and the rambutan, but we'll get to that thrill ride in a few moments' time further on down this list. The fruit does resemble the lychee in that it's assembled in much the same way, but the taste is apparently less aromatic than its cousins. In traditional Chinese medicine, this fruit is associated with relaxation and also completely ineffectively, it should be noted, as a remedy for a snake bite. For the most part though, these are eaten as fruits, either raw or preserved, and are used in Asian soups, desserts, and snacks, and can also be dried or canned in syrup. Number 5. Carambola. The carambola is also better known as the star fruit because it's a star-shaped thing when it's sliced up, obviously. The star fruit is found in Southeast Asia, South Asia, the South Pacific, Micronesia, the United States, Brazil, and the Caribbean. Considering how popular it is, you may be surprised to learn that this particular fruit is also considered mildly poisonous. It is a bit weird, however you look at it, when you realize just how many foods there are that are the teeniest bit toxic. It kind of makes you look at stuff a little bit differently now, doesn't it? Anyways, apart from the neurotoxins that are contained within this fruit, there's also some taste to it. It is often described as sweet, with a kind of undertone of tartness, and it's been compared with apples, pears, and grape mixtures of flavors. So even if it is a bit dangerous, at least it's a pleasant eating experience. That all being said, it is really important to avoid this fruit if you suffer from any kind of kidney disease, because this stuff is actually potentially fatal to people with kidney failure, and that is nothing to be messed about with. Number 4. Akebi. Only available for a very brief 2-week window at the beginning of autumn, the akebi is a valuable and revered food, especially in Japan. This purple-skinned, alien brain-looking fruit is something from Star Trek, and it looks super weird, having a technicolor appearance that seems to scream for attention. But this thing does also only pop up for a fortnight, and hardly anyone has ever heard of it. And apparently the thing is, well, an acquired taste to say the least. The description of the fruit's flavor is bitter, extremely bitter indeed. So that just sounds lovely, doesn't it? The best way to eat it, according to some people anyways, is to wait for the fruit to ripen to such an extent that the skin actually bursts open. But due to its weird flavor, the fruit is actually used as a vegetable vegetable, and it may be stuffed with meat and then fried or even used in a stir fry. And if you're extra handy, the vines of this fruit can be woven into a nice basket. Number 3. Rambutan. A fruit that has a name that translates from the Malay word meaning hairy gives you the general idea of how it's being seen through time, and it's easy to see why. Yes, this is a hairy fruit, which is reminiscent of its relative the lychee. There are umpteen different varieties, which all have varying characteristics and levels of sweetness, with different ratios of massive stone to amount of edible fruit. The fun never ends with the rambutan. There are some which are so especially sour that even monkeys will refuse to eat them. When you get a hold of a sweet one, then these things are generally eaten peeled or perhaps stewed if you feel like going wild with it, you crazy kids. Number 2. Salak. Well, we're nearly there. Can you even believe all of this amazing rare fruit? This stuff is getting out of hand. The salak is a kind of species of palm tree which bears these gnarly looking fruits. It's native to Java and Sumatra, and the fruits are also known as snake fruit on the account of their scaly brownish red skin. It's eaten by peeling the fruit by pinching the tip, which helps pull the skin away from the flesh. Inside the fruit is 3 parts, with 2 or 3 of the parts containing a big seed that's inedible. The flesh tastes like a combination of sweet and acid, but has a sort of apple-y texture that can be juicy and crunchy or crumbly and dry, which frankly sounds like the less good version, unless dry, crumbly fruit is your thing, I should suppose. Number 1. Buddha's hand. This is a weird-looking thing that also goes by the somewhat fruitier name of fingered citron, which by all accounts has the appearance of a lumpy kind of lemon, complete with fingers that's alleged to smell like heaven. Hence the Buddha bit, I would guess. Around New Year in China, the Buddha's hand citron is often served as it is believed to symbolize all the good stuff like wealth and happiness and long life, so this is massively popular in Chinese homes at that time of the year, despite the rather prohibitive price bracket. The fragrance of the Buddha's hand citron plant is akin to lavender, so it's been used for ornamental purposes and presumably making stuff smell like powdery old ladies. While this may be a popular sort of fruit, it is a pretty unattractive Bart Simpson hairdo kind of thing going on, so it's unlikely to win any beauty contests, but it does have a few uses that make it a little more appealing though. The fingered citron's rind is super aromatic and makes a jolly addition to many different cocktails. It also makes a welcome appearance in marmalade or as a candied fruit with a difference. These fruits have been used for centuries to make pretty shapes of flowers or birds to become centerpieces for banquet tables in the olden days. So this may be a holy hand with a divine smell that's graced tables since ancient times and blessed households with happiness and wealth, but does it taste any good? Have you ever tried the fruit yourself? Let me know all about it down below, because I feel like this is a question we really need to answer so that we can all sleep a whole lot more easy tonight. Well, this has been a perfectly delightful thing, hasn't it? Which of these fruits tickled your taste buds? And are there any that you've tried before from this list? Let's see if we can have a productive and fruitful discussion about it in the comments section down below, shall we? I'll be very grateful for your assistance in this matter. Also, be sure to check out the other cool stuff showing up on the screen, and I'll see you next time.